I'm using another one. It's Rena Bilgin, who is in Turkey. He's our, I call Rena our queen of social media, our social media goddess. Yeah, she's the one who, yes. And we have Andy from Session Lab. And
hi, everyone.
Martin, who's in London, and you're in Barcelona, if I remember correctly.
That's right. Yep, I'm in Spain, in Barcelona.
Okie dokie. And myself, David Bishop. I'm up here in the north of France, but originally from Dublin. Okay, so let me just open that up for you there. All right. So just move my screen out of the way. Up. Excuse me one moment. I'm just going to move that up. So yes, you put your first name in and you put in your username. Also, I would suggest if you have Session Lab, if you could open it on your browser. That probably sounds obvious, but it'll save time later on. And also open up your IAF account, because we might take a second or two later on just to show you how to connect the two. And we have done our thing there. This is the 4th session that we are doing today. Oh, I've got my, excuse me, because I've got my, I have to close my screen. Here we go. It's fine. Up. So Martin, do you want to run down through this slide? Because you know the history.
I'd be glad to. Yeah. Very, very glad to. That we're part of a story here. The, what is it, 13, 14 of us on this call. And this is a story that started, well, now 17 years ago, when John Jenkins, a member, just decided, an IAF member in the early days, fairly early days of IAF, said, hey, you know, we're using all these methods, we should capture them somewhere. So it was his initiative that got this going. And it then started having lots and lots of IAF member contributions in it. And then perhaps the inevitable happened, which is that it's a bit like kitchen cupboards, you know, it just got full of stuff and no one could find anything. And some of the stuff was out of date and some of the stuff that was just, you know, duplicates and so on. So then in 2015, the board decided that it really was very urgent to renovate it, really, to do a house renovation. And in doing that, we very much honored the legacy of John Jenkins. He died some years ago, and his wife, Maureen, was very willingly saying, yes, I want to see this sort of move forward and be brought up to date and so on. So we started doing a major refresh, and that involved not just, you know, painting the rooms, but actually designing a whole new house. And we were very lucky to come across Session Lab, which is then called Trained On, and before Andy, I think before your time. And there was a bit of a marriage made in heaven, really, because Session Lab at that point was mainly the design tool with a few methods. But we, IAF, were very keen on finding a home for the methods and a way of really presenting them in their full glory. So we formed a partnership, worked together for a year or two on doing a lot of the work in the background, and then launched it in 2017, and then further enhancements in 2018. So it was it's that collaboration continues. We're now just refreshing the contract actually over the next month or so. So that's a partnership which is continuing, and then we relaunched it with new methods. Actually, I said 17. That was wrong. It was 2019 that it was relaunched. But we've realised that it's there, and there's lots of fantastic stuff in it. But people were not really visiting it, and it's a substantial IAF member benefit. But people were not really using it. So around about last summer, we said, well, let's see if we can switch the lights on in this wonderful house. And so that's what we've been doing since Facilitation Week in October, when we had launch sessions, and what we started in February was a tour around the world, of which, David, as you say, this is the 4th. And then we'll be going on to Africa and to the USA and to Oceania. The Oceania one's in the middle of August on the 26th. The other 2 dates are still being confirmed, to give really everybody, all IAF members, the opportunity to really take a look and just get familiar with this fantastic resource. So that's where we are. It's been a journey of 17 years, much energized in the last few years and being energized now as well, and also by your contributions. So this is not a static, dusty old library. This is a library which is alive and in which people are invited to make comments, are invited to add new methods, and to be part of this growing community of practice. So I think that's probably enough on the path where we've come to today. So you are now part of this great future and using this library and being able to add to it, enhance it, polish the silver. We're now practicing putting some methods into other languages. It's just a bit of a fingers crossed prototype, which we're doing in Spanish and Portuguese, just to see how that works out. So we very much welcome your presence here and look forward to the session. And we want, by the end of the session, for you have a really good idea of what the library is about, and in a way, go away hungry for more. So if you go away hungry for more, that's good, because then you'll come back to the house and sample some more things that it has to offer. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Martin. Over to you, Andy.
Okay, hello everyone. So I'm Andy here from Session Lab. Thank you for having me along here to talk to you about the library and about Session Lab in general. So what is Session Lab? Session Lab was started around about 10 years ago by some university graduates who really wanted to find, well, they'd experienced it themselves, but wanted to find a better way to organize workshops, seminars, sessions, an agenda without using something like Excel, where you might be on version 11 and you send that to somebody who replies with version 13 and who knows what happens to version 12. But they want to find ways to make things easier and to be able to organize and plan sessions quicker with less effort, and to do it all online. So Session Lab was born, and over the years, it's really grown into, about 5 years ago, became a full-time business for the founders. And then I've been working with Session Lab for about 2 years now. And we get loads of really good feedback. So I'm really pleased to be able to share Session Lab with you. But in sort of essence, Session Lab is I think of it in two big parts. So one part is the session planner. We'll have a little look at that later on. But essentially, if you use Excel or, heaven forbid, Word or something to plan your sessions line by line, and you wanted a slightly slicker way to do it, then Session Lab has a nice agenda planner which you can use to work out your session. So that's one half of it, and we'll have a quick look at that later. The other half is the library. Now there's, if you were going to do a session and you needed some ideas for team building examples, icebreakers, energizers, there's a full public library full of workshop activity ideas that you can browse through. And this is where the IAF saw an opportunity to put their own library, mix it in with our library, or keep it sort of separate, but have it shown in the same format as our public library. So where IAF members have the added benefit to go and find the same kind of things, resources, but specifically for IAF members. So yeah, that's team building exercises, energizers, and today, which we'll be looking at some warm-up ideas. So first of all, I'm going to show you just about getting into the library. I'm just going to share my screen and show you about accessing the library. And then I'm going to show you a little bit inside the library and sort of browsing through and how to find some really cool ideas. So if I share my screen, and then I should all be able to see what I'm sharing here, but I want to access the methods library. Good, so I've gone to the IAF website here and I've clicked in the title, Learn and Grow, and then I've dropped down to Methods Library, and that's the page I'm on here. So I can have a bit of a background read about the Methods Library in general, a bit about the content, etc. too. And then I can click on the Access the Methods Library button here, which is the blue link, and that will open up the Methods Library in another tab. Now, if you've already linked your two accounts, so if you have a Session Lab account and you've already linked it, and you've already linked it to your IAF membership, then you'll see 496 methods. You'll see all the methods available for IAF members. If you haven't linked it, then you'll only see 50 methods available, because there's 50 of the IAF methods that are available to all the public. And there's obviously the rest of them, the other 450 that are only available to IAF members. So if you haven't yet created a Session Lab account, this is the sign up page. So if you went to Session Lab and then chose to sign up, here you can fill in your details, but you get the option here just at the top to sign up with IAF. So you can click on that and sign up with your same IAF credentials that you'd use to sign into the IAF website. If you have already created an account, then just in the top right-hand side, you'll see there's an option to access your account settings. And this is where you can see all your information, your email, etc. And this button here, you can click on to connect your existing Session Lab account to your IAF account. And once you do that, you'll then be able to see all the methods in the IAF library. If anyone's having any problems with connecting your accounts or you can't see all the methods, do let me know. We'll work it out for you and make sure that you can see everything. But here I am inside the IAF library. First of all, along the top, you'll see just on the left what I was referring to a little earlier, and that's all the methods. So all those methods are available to all the public. There's a few different topics along the top there, and you can see all the methods inside this library view. You've also got a favorites folder. So if you decide to click on the heart on any one of these methods, that will add it to your favorites. You've got any that you create yourself. We'll take a look at that a bit later on. But here we have the IAF library, and this is what it looks like. All these white rectangles are all the different methods inside the library. At the moment, we've got 500, so it's quite a lot. You might choose to filter down on some. We're looking at warm-ups today, so you can click on one of the categories and you'll see it goes sort of purpley color, which means that filter's been applied. We can see there's 117 different methods there. And you can scroll through, look at any that might interest you from the sort of picture, the title, the introduction, and any of them sort of grab your eye. You can click on them and that will open up the method in full to the front of the screen. So if you wanted to run something like the paperclip method, we're going to do a brainstorming activity to sort of warm up our team. This is where we can see any relevant attachments, any goals, any materials you might need, any instructions to run this activity. There might be some online tips as well. And here you can see some comments on the activity too. So anyone who's run it before maybe has some feedback. That's one really great way that if you want to help bring this library to life, keep these lights on inside the method library, you can add your own comment once you run an activity, or if you've got some feedback about what could be done better next time for somebody else, you can add a comment on here, and that will help keep this library much more interactive. If you wanted to filter a little bit more specifically, so we've still got this warm-up tag applied, this warm-up category applied, I can click on the filter button. And let's say, for example, you wanted to do, I know that timing wise, I wanted something that's maybe no more than 20 minutes, because that's the sort of time that I have available in my session. Let's just try and change that. Well, I've got 22 minutes there. Okay, that'll do. And then I've got less than 30 people, but I'm going to have definitely more people coming to my session than say 20. So between 20 and 30 people, I need something that's around about 20 minutes long, and I can see I've got 90 choices to choose from. So I've filtered that down even more. And here I can look through any that, again, look good to me. And when I see something I like the look of, again, just like before, you can click on it to open it up, take a look. And if you'd like to use that method, you can do so. The link to the second part of Session Lab, which I talked about a bit earlier, is here. You can click on the use method to add it to a session. We won't go into that now. We'll look a little bit at that a little bit later on in this session. But that's how you would link your facilitation method that you found, how you would link and add it into a session to use it. And I think that's all that I would cover in the library here. Just remember, if you do want to deselect any of these categories, so you see this warm-up category has stayed purple, it stayed selected in the whole time I've been browsing around. But just remember to click again on any category to de-apply, to unapply any particular category that you have clicked. So that should cover how you first get to the library, so going from the IAF website, or if you're inside Session Lab, and you already use Session Lab, you'll see there's a library button at the top, and that's where you can click to get straight to the library 4 different views that you should see there. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen and
I wonder, I notice in the chat, Andy, the question about the larger number of methods, and I've answered that in the chat saying there's other contributors in addition to IAF. Perhaps you'd like to expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, let me see. Okay, so I can see, yeah, Rita, you've seen 1,300 different methods. So that's in the public library. There's quite a high number of methods there. So we've worked with some sort of popular facilitation companies, for example, Gamestorming or Hyper Island, and they've sort of worked with us. They want to promote some of their methods, so they've kindly added their content into the library. And we obviously wanted to grow our library too. So we've had sort of external contributors as well as some internal, some of our expertise we've added in there, and our experience. We've put some of our favorite methods inside the library too. So that's where the majority of the content has come from people who've got some ideas to share and were willing to make their methods public.
And to expand even further on that, Andy, that IAF is the only organization which has this kind of partnership with Session Lab. And I think it's fair to say, Andy, that's because we got in first. I think that's
true. That's why, yeah, we couldn't do this for it because we couldn't have so many views.
Yeah. You know, back in 2016, by what effectively was a chance meeting, which indeed I remember first speaking with Robert and Philip. And then after 5 minutes, I thought, this is going to be really good. And it has turned out to be really good. So we've got that special relationship with Session Lab, but the other organizations do not, but people can still contribute their methods. But what you get with the IAF methods are ones that are curated by IAF members. And indeed, at the moment, there is a refresh team, we call it, of people around the world who are going through method by method. And if you like, are sort of polishing the silver, you know, they're just making sure there's an image there, making sure that the English is good, well, they're not duplicated because we'd sorted that out before, but making sure that everything works and it really looks good. Also linking importantly to online methods, and online rather than remote or virtual is the preferred term from IAF. I understand from Gerardo, who's on the board for professional development. And so to say some of these methods can be used, adapted and used online. So we will, in that refresh team, they will be putting in some comment about how to modify it and adapt it, rather than having a whole new set of methods for online use. So we're doing that right now. If anybody on this call would like to join that team, put your hand up, send me an email, and I'll introduce you to Ulla, who is leading that team, Ulla, who is based in Jamaica. So that work has started in January and will continue, well, indefinitely until we've been through, till we've polished all the silver, as it were, and made it even better than it is at the moment. Yeah.
So I'll just add one reminder. If you are seeing those 1,303 methods, that means that you're in the all methods view along the top of the library. So just two along, I think it's two categories along, you'll see the IAF methods. That's where we're kind of focusing today. So click on that library view and you'll see all the different methods. The one thing I didn't talk about was adding new methods to the library. We'll take a look at that later on, but that's another way to really help contribute and grow the library too. But we can take a sort of bit of look at that later on without overwhelming you in one go.
Yes, and it's also a way of supporting the community of practice. And for those who wish to become certified as CPF, of course, you can identify that as your contribution to the community of facilitation practice worldwide. So that's just something else you could put on your list in your application. So yeah.
Andy, I have a question for Andy. Andy, do you want to explain how to connect the IAF account to the Session Lab account, or did you want to do that later on, or have you done it? I've been concentrating on the breakout rooms.
That's okay. No, I did. Just at the start, we talked a bit about what to do if you had your IAF account or you had a Session Lab account and wanted to link the two. But if anything wasn't clear, more than happy to take individual cases or answer any questions on that if anyone's not connected.
Yes, I've been doing my breakout rooms, so I missed it.
No problem. I could tell you weren't listening.
Oh, I forgot to cut my camera.
No problem. But yeah, so it should be quite, if you've got the account, you can link them. If you haven't got the account, you can sign up with the IAF credentials. But any problems, if you can't link the two, just let me know.
And I did put in the chat the link to the page which Andy showed. So if you want to click on that, you will then get directly to the methods library page, on the IAF website. So if you go into the IAF website as a member, you need to log in as a member. Otherwise, the system thinks you're some random person who's not an IAF member. I believe there are some who are not yet members. And if you go on professional development and then methods library, it will take you to that page. We've just made it easier for you by giving you the whole link, and you go straight there. And we hope we've now made the instructions clearer than they were 6 months ago. And that will then help you link through to the Session Lab. And Session Lab and IAF, clever people behind the scenes, have talked to each other so that it will know that you're a member, and then you will have access to the methods library held by Session Lab. So there we are. And we've, David, do you want to pick up?
Yes, did you want to explain our breakout activity there, Martin? I have the rooms ready.
Certainly, and I'm just looking before doing that just to see, oh, someone has, Yoshiki, it's midnight. Goodness gracious, it's midnight in Japan. So you're going to...
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I have to go now.
We do appreciate that you joined us at midnight.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Very noble.
Yeah.
There will be,
thank you.
Could join the Oceania one perhaps. Okay, very good.
Bye-bye, Yoshiki.
Yeah.
Very good. Of course, if there are questions, please we're quite a small group, so you can just raise your hand and ask or put them in the chat. But what we're going to do now is to go into, I think, David, let me just check, Rena and David, we're going to 2 breakout rooms, because I see that Alona and Dave, you've got some experience of the methods library before. So what we might do is ask for you to be in different groups and then have 3 or 4 people joining you in each group. Is that how you see it, David?
I have set up 3. I have Dave in one, Alona in another, and I have Miguel, Manal, and Irene. Now, if in the 3rd one, if you would prefer me to change that, I can.
It's your call. We do need, when we get, let me describe what we're going to be doing in the groups. This is an opportunity. Imagine you're in there's a guided tour around a stately home, or in this case, the library. And you've just had a little talk from the very knowledgeable tour guide, who's Andy. And now we're going to just sort of let you go off and take a look around for, I think 15, 18 minutes, something like that, to take a look. But we're going to give you some guidance before we send you off. Yeah. And the guidance is as follows, that when you take your tour, and we suggest that there is one person who shares screen. So that's why it's good that there's one person, at least one person in the group, who has ready access to the library and can open it up and then share screen with the others. So that's the first thing. And so the 2 of you will be able to share screen, and then you work collaboratively as a group to take your tour. So, and when you're there, when you're together in your group, just imagine a client, and it can be either a completely fictitious one or one that one of you has had recently. Who was the client? What task did they give you? What was the objective? What was the facilitation about? You might think about how big the group was. Was it 10 or 100 or 200 or something in between? What kind of process were you thinking of going through? And then, importantly, what method would you use, would you choose as a warm-up, as an energizer? And these in the IAF library are called warm-ups. On the general Session Lab site, they're called energizers, but things we would do at the beginning. So just take a look around and see which ones that particularly catch your eye. The object of this is not to come back with the answer. There is no the answer. The object is for you to take a look around and see all the different methods, what you find to be interesting. And at the same time, you will have some questions, we hope. So please either hold those or put them in the chat, and we'll pick those up when we come back from those breakout groups. Can I just check, is the task clear? Says the facilitator. Do you know what you're meant to be doing? If not, please indicate now. So Anastasia, I got a thumbs up from Anastasia. Do I have thumbs up? And Doug and Dave, and yeah, that's enough. Yeah, 4 or 5 out of the group is perfectly good. David, what do you think? Your call.
Three groups of 3. And I just a quick question to Miguel. Miguel, are you okay being the Session Lab expert kind of person in the room? Is that okay? Because
Well,
you are, I know you are a technology hack, but you are familiar with Session Lab, is that right?
I'm a little bit familiar. I have some familiarity, and I can share the screen, for example, and I can tour and guide my team and my mates in the breakout room.
Great, and you can get into the library. That's the important thing.
Yeah, I'm indeed right now in the library, in the IAF library. So
yes.
Good call, David.
Good. So
that's
3
groups
groups of 3.
Else the thing doesn't work because you can't get into the library. So there needs to be one person in each small group who can actually get in. And Alona, you can get into the library. Dave, you can get into the library. Yeah.
And myself and Andy will be popping in along the way to say
Very
hello.
good.
Okay.
And Rena and I are going to stay in this main room. And you're setting the timer as what, David?
15 minutes and 60 seconds at the end before
Perfect.
you come back.
Okay. See you back here shortly. I'll stay here with Rena.
See you shortly. Yeah, I've got some questions for everybody.
Yeah.
I've got some questions. I'll get into you first and then I'll pop them in the chat. So the first question is, we're going to do a little debrief about your breakout room. What was easy about using the methods library? Second question, what was challenging about using it? What methods did you find? And what else did you notice about searching for a method? So I'll just pop them in the chat. So what was easy? What was challenging? What methods did you find? And what did you notice about searching for a method? Now you can, when you're ready, you can raise your hand, wave your arms in the air. Yes, okay. Raghavendra.
Yeah. No, what was easy was like to set the context in why are we searching the method library. So if the context is very clear, searching becomes easy because Andy had very clearly shown us how to search for the using the filters, right? So that was very that came very handy, though it looks very run-of-the-mill kind of a thing. But sometimes when you are looking for the method library, you think as if you are creating some methods. But I think you made it so easy, look like that, yes, there are already there. People have already scratched their heads and they put in this one. So that was very easy. The challenging was how to convert that into the virtual world, right? Some of them were designed initially for the kind of face-to-face kind of a sessions. So how to use them and convert that into a virtual context, that could be one challenge point. And yes, I think it became easy kind of, if you have to put it very simple. Andy taking a session helped for sure, and with people with a lot of experience like Dave and Rita coming into the session. So one thing I could also sense was like, if you have a face-to-face kind of experience on facilitation, converting that into online should not be a great challenge.
Okay, thank you, Raghavendra. Anybody else? Let me jump in.
It's Irene here, and we had mostly the same comments as Raghavendra. We did find that under all methods, if you look under all methods, they do have a remote option for that. But thankfully, IAF is taking a look at that right now. So Martin's going to fill us in on when that's coming later. But yeah, with the remote piece, it's very important to understand which ones of these can be run smoothly. But it was hard. We found it really difficult to just come up with one or two because there's so many really good ideas in there. So if you know your audience or know who you're looking for, I think there's something for everyone in this library.
Thank you, Irene. Anybody else?
I would like to invite Duke to speak up on behalf of our group and tell what did he learn. He might know some information that might be helpful.
Okay, Duke, you have been chosen.
Oh, well, 2 elements. First, the benefit of being part of a team when you're doing this. We work so much in isolation. The irony, right? The paradox. We facilitate groups, but we do all the planning ourselves. And just the benefit of having 2 other professional facilitators to help you was a real benefit. And then we were doing the idea of using virtual flip charting. And my colleagues with experience with people who speak Russian talked about Padlet. And it's now in the chat room as well. You'll see it there as well. And it's supposedly a really good tool for others to use. It's very simple to use. Because my experience when people have ventured off into Miro and Mural, they get lost very easy if they're not technically savvy. It takes a fair bit of orientation. And if you're with a group of 25, if you lose 2 participants, to me, that's like the whole ship going down. So I'm excited to use this new tool. And if Anastasia wants to explain more about it, she'd be great at it.
Okay, Anastasia, do you have anything to comment on? I think Doug is volunteering you back. Where is
she probably lost her signal, so she's like,
oh, yeah.
no, I'm not gonna do that. I can explain as well, because this platform, like, we both facilitate online a lot as it occurred in our breakout room, and we struggle with technically unsavvy participants who feel uncomfortable. And this Padlet platform is also used in elementary schools, so it's really easy, and you can do all these TOP methods like consensus and other methods in Padlet as well. So it's really easy, and the free option has a lot to offer as well.
Thank you, Alona. Anastasia is back.
Yes.
You were chosen, Anastasia, the moment you ran away. So do you have anything to add to what you heard while you were here?
Matt, again, fantastic people. Happy to see one Russian speaker in this company of the people. This is nice. And I wish Duke to have a fantastic session, because do not know what he does, but he's dealing with the students. So it's very exciting. I wish you best of luck in your coming session, Duke.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to add one thing that we discovered in our breakout room from Andy. We thought that these methods that are on IAF library chart, which are like 496, that they are included into all methods. But what Andy told us, that these are extra methods that are not included in 1303. So I think this is a useful information to share with others.
Okay. Thank you, Alona.
Right, so to confirm that, this is a substantial benefit of membership. Yeah, if you're a non-member, you just get, you get 50, which is really like a little teaser to get people into membership. But if you want the whole lot and all the quality that is there, you have to be an IAF member. I have to say we did, a few years ago when we were developing this, really think a lot about that, because there was a spirit, people wanting to be open and giving and communal and global and everything. But at the same time, we want people to come and be members. So on balance, that was the decision, but to have 50 or so as a kind of teaser. So
if you're a member of Session Lab, like if you sign up for just outside of IAF, so am I hearing correctly that you don't get access to all the methods that are also included in the IAF database?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
So if you're a member of IAF and Session Lab, like I am, you get everything. But if you're only Session Lab, you don't get the IAF methods because they're IAF methods. Yeah. In a moment, Andy, I think you'll say something about the planning tool and what's free and what isn't. We'll come to that. But yeah. So anyway, it's a big bonus for membership, knowing that they're curated and there's people right now looking through them and checking and so on. So I really honor those people doing that work. It's work behind the scenes, people doing it as part of a team, but doing it, in their own time. And also the group that did the big refresh 3 years ago. And it was really like going through a very untidy kitchen with everything. It was a bit of a mess, but there was real good stuff in there. But people the small team just went through one by one, and then launched it. And then we went through it all again, or they went through it all again to make sure that they were really right. So, yeah. And they had a great time doing it. It's part of the community of practice. And they learned a lot about the methods and so on. Yeah.
I've just put in the chat there a tool which I only discovered recently was Flinga, which is a very, very, very simple idea similar to Padlet. I think if anybody's looking for drastically simple things to use. There you go.
Slinger.
Flinger, F come Foxtrot.
Ah, Flinger. I've used Padlet, and I agree with you. It's pretty simple. It's nice, you know, it's very pretty and all sorts. Yeah.
Okay, so anybody else can tell us what they felt was easy, challenging, what methods you found, and what did you notice about searching? Anybody else have anything to add to what has been said so far? Andy, I think, I don't know if this question has been answered, but the remote working, it came up once or twice, but finding remote activities. Can you maybe give us a quick run through that one?
Yeah, sure. So when you're in the all methods view, so that methods, so the view of the library on the top left, that's where you'll see some categories and on the top as well. And you'll notice the one on the far right is remote friendly, I think it is. Yeah, remote friendly, off the top of my head, is remote friendly. So those are where us, the team at Session Lab, have been through some of our methods and sort of curated them to pick out some of the ones that were remote friendly or could be made method friendly, where we've added in some extra blurb there. So if you do want to filter on some online methods, that's how you can do it in the main library. But in the IAF library, they're, instead of using remote friendly, we'll be using the term online. I think that's right, Martin, if I'm just confirming. Yeah, it's online. And those, at the moment, the team's going through the phase of doing the same sort of thing, where we'll making them online, giving some online tips, and creating an online tag, I believe, as well. So that will be sort of populating back over to the IAF library as well. But for now, you can see, oh, Martin, I think you're muted there.
I was asked when that would go on, when that would be there, when the IAF online category would be there. But I'm afraid I can't answer that question, but I will speak with Ulla, who is the Refresh team leader. We'll ask her at our next catch up at the end of the week, because it's really just to do with when we got enough to make it worth having a category there. But we're in the process of doing that. And in the group that I was in, someone observed that there are already quite a lot of online ones that are suitable for online. So we're slightly playing catch up there, but we're doing it. So good.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, does anybody have any questions?
I have a question. Where are some other resources that I can go to, or maybe if you point me to, maybe it's YouTube, where I can actually learn a little more about using Session Lab as a tool, like to support my designs, so that I can take them and share them with clients? Because that's sort of the next step that I was hoping to get a little taste of that here.
That's, I think, exactly what you're going to get now, isn't it?
Yes,
really nice lead into the next section.
Thank you, Dave.
Wow, super. Glad I could help.
Mind reading.
That's nice.
God, he's
mind reading comes as part of the facilitators toolkit. Yeah.
Give him a CPF now. Give him a CPF now.
Oh, good. I'm going to talk a little bit about that session planner. I'll just jump straight into it now. What we'll do is we're going to do, the look at that. So I talked about Session Lab as those two parts, the main library, which we've explored, the IAF library, and the second part, which is the session planner. I'll share my screen and we'll look for just sort of 5 minutes at the session planner and the key features. But obviously learning the session planner, learning a new tool will take some time. So we won't cover really anything but some very high level stuff now. If you'd like to connect with me, feel free to send a message to andy@sessionlab.com or support@sessionlab.com. That will come through to me. We can set up another time to go through the session planner in more detail. Or I can send you some videos if you prefer just to take a look at some online learnings. But let me share my screen again. And let me just show you the library. So this is where we all were a few minutes ago, or where we all are now. So once you've explored the library, you can click on the Session Lab logo in the top, and that will take you straight to your Session Lab account. So it will open up a bit like this. So it will show you, if you've been working in Session Lab, it will show you the different white cards here. These are all the different sessions that I'm working on inside my Session Lab account. If you haven't got a Session Lab account, you can of course create one at this point. Now there is a completely free version of Session Lab. So there's the benefit for IAF members is of course that expanded IAF methods library. But the free version of Session Lab will allow you to do loads of stuff in the session planner. You can create up to 10 sessions. If you wanted to create an 11th, you can just delete one of your existing ones and continue working. So there's no pressure to upgrade. But there are some features that are for the sort of pro and the team sort of paid options. You can see all the different plans at sessionlab.com/pricing. You can see what's included where. But so here's my Session Lab workspace. To create a new agenda, I can just click on the new session in the top right. That will open up a blank session for me, which I'll show you in a second. I can also look at any templates. So templates are full session plans. Again, this is all available free on the free plan. But if you wanted to look at the publicly available templates, these are already pre-designed sessions that already exist. They do load much quicker than this in real life. It's just when you're screen sharing that it goes slowly. But you'll see full session plans that could be 2 days, 3 days, 8 hours long. For example, if you were doing a brain sprint or something that's only an hour long, you might like to start from one of these templates. You'll see some that are 3 hours long, 6 hours, etc. So you can really browse through this library. The whole idea of Session Lab is that you don't have to start from a blank page. You can start creating from a template or something you've already created before. But if I opened up one of the templates, this is what it would look like. So I've opened up this 2-day brainstorming workshop. I can see that on the left, I've got loads of different colors. This is just a vertical view of my agenda, sort of going down the page. And if I want to get to any part of it quickly, if I want to look at what comes after the drinks break in the afternoon, I can just click there and it will take me in the main part of my agenda down to that particular part. The idea behind Session Lab is that you can drag and drop things around within your agenda, and your timing will still stay the same. So if you want to reorder things within your agenda, you can do so quite easily. Or if there's any part of it that you maybe don't want to use and you'd like to use at a later time, you can take a look at the overall timing of your agenda, 7 hours, 15 minutes. And if you decide you want to maybe take one of your activities and just park it off to the right-hand side for the moment, it will stop counting towards when my browser updates. There we go. Stop counting towards your overall timing. But if at any point you wanted to add it back in again, you can just click and drag and drop and add it in. Now, the main feature that I would like to show you is this search function. So the link between the library and the session planner is sort of hidden here in this search button here. Again, if you remember in the library, you had access to all the methods, all the publicly available ones, any you created or favorited, or here you've got the IAF library. So if you wanted to search the IAF library for a nice warm-up activity, I can simply just type in warm-up. That will search within the tags of the activity or the opening content of the activity. And I'm specifically searching in the IAF library here. So just like before, I can browse through these methods down this right-hand view. I can click on any one of them. And just like before, that will open it up on the screen. So it's a bit bigger for me to browse through and see if it's something that I would like to do. It's a nice activity where everyone in a group will say one word and we'll create a method together. So I might like to use that. And then you can just click, drag and drop it into your agenda wherever you like. And then, drop it in there. And then you can change the timing so it suits you. So when it's added, it will add the sort of default timing straight to this block. This is only 2 minutes long, but I might like to do it for, let's say 20 minutes long. So I'm going to add that in here. And you can give it a different category color. So this is an energizer. So I'm going to pick an energizer. Now, just one more thing I'll cover off. This is only a very quick introduction to the planner. But as we were talking specifically about creating an agenda that you can then export to somewhere, or so you can click on the export button and you can export it as a PDF. So you can choose how you would like it to look on that export. So you can toggle some things on and off, choose to show only certain columns on your export. But that's completely on the completely free version. You can choose to export it in that way, or you can also export it to Word as well. That's the second option. That's on one of the paid plans, so it's not available for everyone there, but it is an option if you'd like to do that. But feel free. So this is just last time I'm going to show you here is what a blank session looks like. So this is an agenda completely stripped back before we've added anything into it. You'll see it's made up of these different blocks of units of time that you then start to populate more of. And on the right hand side is where you'll find those key buttons as well as the search. This was a really quick run through, but do feel free. This green button down the bottom right is called Intercom. You can just click on there. You can either search through some of our support articles and help if you want some ideas there. That's where you can search for, or you can send us a message, and probably 75% of the time it'll be me that will get back to you. So feel free to send a message there if you have any questions, or you'd like to schedule a longer demo and we'll go through it, taking a bit more time. But quick introduction, session planner, and then how to search in your session planner to find some of those activities from the IAF library. So I think that's my spiel about the planner. If I can hand back to you, and we'll move forward.
Thank you, Andy. Martin, I think it's over to you now with the breakout room.
It is, yeah. So this is a quick breakout room. This is a sort of a 5-minute sprint. And there are 2 questions, which I'm now putting in the chat, which is basically, what do you not understand? You know, what are your questions that you want to ask? Are there things that still don't make sense? If so, you can ask people in your group. Maybe they will be able to answer. If not, then come back and we'll answer that in our last 10 minutes or so. The second question is, what would you like to see in the methods library to make this an even better resource for building the community of practice within IAF? There may be something that you think, yeah, if only we had everything in purple or something, it would be so much better. That would attract more people. You know, so we're looking for your ideas. So the 2 things: what are the unanswered questions, and the others, how could it be even better? And David, I think probably 5 minutes. You think this is a quick sprint? I think so. Then we'll have 10 or 15 minutes back in the room.
Okay, so 5 minutes. This time I've done two rooms of 4 people.
Sounds good.
So yes.
I was saying the Roman princes will not reinvent something.
What?
So, to Anna, I said a Roman princess will not reinvent anything, so therefore she won't.
Aga, we are in a plenary, just to let you know.
Yeah.
For what you say.
Yes. So yes, so now we're going to have a little discussion about any suggestions you may have or any questions you may have.
Together with Miguel, we have a suggestion.
Good. Okay, Alona, go ahead with the suggestion. All right.
Miguel, would you
go? Alona, you were the person who drove, but I can, if you want me, I can tell.
Yeah, you can add, I can start and you will add, because we had different.
Okay, because we share the same feeling about the tool. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. As we were using Session Lab before, what lacks is a bit of visualization of how this method is done. So kind of like field examples, or if it's a offline session, maybe pictures with like even a flip chart pictures that are done, because when you read through the method, it's not always obvious how it has to be done, especially for people who use visual channels of information in the world.
Yeah, Alona, you're completely right, and I think it's a text heavy tool. Yeah. Maybe some more, imagery, pictures and videos supporting the tool. I think I'm pretty sure that Andy knows very well, and maybe he's thinking about this for the next releases or in the future.
Oh yeah, I've got my notepad.
We have a lot. It's a fantastic tool, but with a more imagery, pictures and videos, it will be fantastic.
I do have a reference, like the Mirrorverse. They do have like field examples in their templates. It would be nice to have such things here.
Mirrorverse, part of the Miro world, yeah.
No, I just like Anna did in the first session. I would invite Anna to share our group's ideas.
You have been voluntold.
I will, but since the Duke has developed this idea to the ready to go session lab breakthrough.
Okay.
Oh, I want to hear this.
This is severe ball passing here.
I feel like I should. Anastasia, you're very you're very generous in your compliments. We were just building on an idea Anastasia had, this idea of referral of people who have done these before. So, imagine there's a button, and basically, if you click on the button, it's basically a user referral button. So these are people who have used it, use the method, not the creator, because sometimes the creator they're at another level sometimes, but you're a user, you've used it, you click on the button, and you've given permission for your information to be shared with whoever clicks on the referral button, if they're a fellow IAF member. So you'd get, imagine if David did this method, and then he says, yes, I will gladly talk to someone else who's new and wants to use this method. You click the button, it goes to David, and David gets a referral saying, there's someone from Canada named Doug who would like to talk to you about your experience with this Energizer activity. And David says, yeah, I will gladly talk to Doug, and you contact me directly. And then we can walk through the method, you can walk the other person through the method. Because our experience is, once you've done a method, you're very excited to share it with someone else, especially beyond your family. They don't want to hear about it, even your colleagues, but the other facilitators might be very excited to hear about this, and you can coach them on your experience going through. So that was kind of the idea. Anastasia, there was a little more though. Anything else you want to add?
Nope, I'm not a native speaker, and thank you for formulating that perfectly.
This is like a facilitator.
What I can add to what Doug and Anna said was, most of the times when there are so many methods in the library, not every facilitator would have made use of those methods, right? So it's always good that someone as a facilitator comes back and says, vouches for it, saying that yes, this is a good to kind of use a method kind of a thing, right? But maybe Andy, you can come in from a technical point of view, but when we are doing the facilitation, if the facilitator who has put in that method onto the library, if he or she comes back and says, okay, this is a good to go kind of a method, I have used it in a certain forum, you can just go ahead and use it. Just like the doctors say, yes, go ahead and use this medicine, it works for me, it definitely works for you. So something like that, someone kind of pushing, saying that yes, Martin, I have used it, yes, Raghavendra, you can go ahead and use it, something like that. If those things happen, I think this library will kind of become more enriching, and people like us, the facilitators, will have a very easy time in making use of it. That's so just to build on the thought of what Anna and Doug said.
They're really nice tips. You definitely have the comment field at the bottom where you can leave some feedback, but actually to have it almost a bit like a testimonial is a bit like to say that you've used it, or that you're happy to talk to somebody else about what went wrong, what could go better next time, some tips. If you're going to do this, make sure you have this prepared and ready. I think actually having maybe some kind of signal that somebody else has used it previously or has experience with it and is open to talk to you about it. That's a good suggestion, and one I don't think I've heard before. So I'll make sure I make a note and feed that back. So,
and just to give that doctor analogy, like when you're using now co-vaccines and medicines, like the vaccines for the COVID, we are being told now you use a kind of fever medicine, right? So that you don't get the fever, right? So maybe something like paracetamol or something like that. So it's like you have faced it, you don't want others to face it, something like that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Some good feedback. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Raghavendra. And Anastasia and Doug.
All of you.
Yes, it was real facilitatoritis there for a moment. It was Raghavendra says, well, Anastasia says, well, Doug, and Doug just threw it back to Anastasia. So it was very, very, very nice and flowing. Okay. Anybody else have any comments to make? Thank you. So, Andy.
Sorry, I'm just going to say one more thing that I didn't say earlier, and that we talked about in our breakout group, but we noticed that when you go into the methods or look at any category, by default, the most popular are shown at the top. So the ones that are the most favorited or people have clicked on that heart. But there is an option at the top just to toggle on to most recently updated. So you can see, if you're, one feedback we get is that people tend to see the same methods in the library, but that is because the favorites will stay at the top. So it might be nice just to look at most recently updated, toggle your view, and you'll get some fresh perspectives at the top of your results there. But just one thing to add.
Yeah, I think there's also the phenomenon and the mediator. I think where if somebody publishes one, it's not published immediately. It goes through a screening or just to make sure it's nothing strange or.
That's right. Yeah. So you've got that add a method button on that library page. You'll see it in purple there on the sort of right. And as you click on that, you can add any method that you have in your repertoire or you want to share. You can create the title, add any attachments, and then you submit it for approval, which will go to the IAF team, who will just check the content, maybe confirm anything with you. Martin, sorry, I'm probably speaking for you here, but if there's add any comments or anything into it, and then when it's approved, it will be approved and publicly visible in the library.
And we absolutely welcome that and very much appreciate that, because that's the way, you know, this is not a dusty library, it's a live library in the fullest and most modern sense. So, you know, the comments, the suggestions, the tips, you know, do it this way, don't do it that way. You know, I did it last week and it worked really well because I did this. And putting in new methods is very, very much welcomed.
Okay, thank you, Martin. Just before, Andy, did you have something to say?
No,
okay.
Not done that. No.
Just before I hand you back over to Andy and Martin, we can just do a little round robin to say what would be your takeaway from today? What is that one little gem of wisdom? Hopefully there are gems, maybe.
And with your permission, David, with exactly that question, if I could put it in an additional way, which is if you meet someone this evening or tomorrow and you say, oh, I went on this IAF methods library thing, you know, what would you say to them? So, it's, you know, what would be your takeaway, but what will you say to the next person you meet if you have a conversation about this?
I can start.
Go ahead, Elena.
My takeaways are the friendly atmosphere. This is definitely what I'm taking away to my, I'm nursing twins right now, they're newborns, so that was a fresh, I can come up with on the English, fresh air. And the second takeaway is that although I was using Session Lab before, I never clicked on the IAF library page, so I never knew about that. So that's a huge benefit for me. I'm gonna go to today and I'm gonna go through these methods as well. So thank you so much, Andy, for sharing this.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You, Ilona. Anybody else?
I have two.
Miguel.
Sorry. I have two takeaways. First is being an IAF member is a great value, because at the end you are receiving of access to, you are getting access to more than initially delivered by the Session Lab tool, and Session Lab tool is a fantastic tool and a set of methods included to help facilitation, of course, exercise. So these both things, but the first one is something that I would like to highlight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel. Raghavendra, did you want to say something, I think?
Yeah. I was just about to say one point. What Andy did today, if normally kind of a best practice, maybe put in a user manual onto the top of the Session Lab or somewhere, maybe for someone kind of what you did today was a very kind of, what do you say, very patient way of telling people what are the things there in the library. You didn't come from the mountain, you came from the ground, bottom-up approach, and you took it as if as simple as that, like we are all children, and you taught.
Sorry about that.
And you taught like as you were supposed to. I mean, not to take it away from you. It's not like so you took that as a baseline and you took it from there, and therefore the kind of the ease with which you facilitated, both Andy, Martin, obviously you are experts in your field, but I initially thought like, where did I come in? I mean, did I got on a kind of a wrong session? But when I just entered, even now I'm not feeling what do you say, I've been there for last 1 hour or so. So that's wonderful of all of you in the way you handled it. Two, what are the first takeaways? As I said, you've explained it very well. So I think someone asked me in the Indian library, I would always say, you can always trouble Andy. He's there to help you.
Please, yeah. No, do. I'm always here for questions.
So,
but
I
no,
think
with the
yeah, and that becomes easy for and we can give it as a kind of a homework kind of a thing, just like Martin said. If you have this session, please go onto the library, search for it, come back and share us what is the methods you got it on the library. So maybe that I can do.
Good. No,
Doug has his hand up.
Yeah, just Andy, a shout out. Just thank you for just a wonderful integration of the methods and the agenda. And I'd always done it more just with the methods or just with the agenda. The integration was wonderful. And Martin and IAF and David, just thank you for just your commitment to offering this. Like as Miguel said, as an IAF member, it's a real honor to be part of this, and just your strong commitment to make it better. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Okay.
Have your wonderful idea.
Don't know if you have any more comments. Anybody else? Okay, it's over to you, Martin and Andy, if you have any closing comments to make.
Well, I have two little closing comments. One is that this is a library which is open 24/7, so 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even Christmas Day or your holy days or high holidays, you can come visit. So that's the first thing. And the other is, as David said at the beginning, this is the fourth. There are another 3 sessions. Each of the sessions is similar, but they will all have their own flavor, and you can go to any of them. The next one is focused on Africa and run by the regional director in Africa. So you will, I don't have the date for you, unfortunately, but it'll be on all the social media, Rena, which you and your colleagues will be putting out. And then the USA, and then Oceania. So it's just according to the time zone. So if you want to dip in again, get another flavor, then you're more than welcome to do that. And so I think with that, Andy, you don't have anything else to say. Rena, do you have anything else to say?
No,
No? So very good. Thank you so much for your participation. We wish you well for the rest of the day. So applause to everybody, and thank you so much. And
kisses to the twins. Kisses to the twins. Yeah.
So,
I'll do it right now. Thanks.
It's great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. See you on the circuit. Stay on a few moments if you want to ask any questions. Otherwise, see you soon.
Bye.